Hi, my name's Tom. I'm an edit assistant and a graphic designer, and I'm now going to show you how to change the colour of the background using Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so this is the image I'm going to be working on with at the moment. It's a pair of trainers on an empty tube carriage. Now, in true Blue Peter style fashion, here's a couple I've made earlier. So in this one here, I've just turned the background into a black and white image by keeping the colour of the blue trainers there. And in this example here, kept the colour of the shoes the same and then tried to put this matrix type green filter effect over the top. Right, so I'm going to return back to my original image. Okay, in this tutorial, you're going to be needing to use the hand tool, which you can get quite easily by holding down the spacebar on your keyboard, which brings up a little hand. By clicking on the image, you can then move your image around the screen, which is quite a useful little tool. The next thing you'll be needing is your zoom in and zoom out, which you can find the shortcut for on your keyboard using Apple or Control if you're using a PC, and pressing the plus or minus on your keyboard. So just zooming in on the trainers just makes it easier to work within the image. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a mask of the shoes, and we're going to mask them out so we can keep them on a brand new layer, so we can then make changes to the bottom layer. So in order to make the mask, the quickest and the easiest way to make the mask is to press Q on your keyboard, which is enter quick mask mode. As you can see here in the history tabs, you can see we've entered the quick mask mode. And now using the brush tool, which is B as a shortcut on your keyboard, or can be found on the left-hand side of your palette. You can now go through and change your brush settings with a hardness of around about 30%. Let's try 25 for this one. By adjusting the hardness, you can get a nicer sort of blend to the image around the edges of the corners or sort of sides of the image that you wish to keep in the same colour. So hit enter. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to paint over our image. Now the red is just a guideline so you can see what you've actually painted. Again, you might need to go in and out and adjust the size of the brush so you can get to the edge slightly more easier than you would with a larger brush. So I'm just going to go around now and paint out over the top of the image which you keep. You're only making a mask here, so this red isn't going to stay on the image. Obviously, for the benefit of the tutorial, I'm going to do it as quickly as possible. But you guys can obviously spend a lot more time being a little bit more careful and precise by selecting it properly. So just painting around the edge. So I'm just going to reduce the brush size there so I can go around the shoelace. And on this one. Right, there we go. So just going to zoom out so you can see. So now you've got what looks like a bit of a red mess on your screen. There we go. Okay, you can spend hours doing that. I'm not going to, otherwise you'll just get bored watching me do it. So now we're going to exit quick mask mode, and this is going to create a selection around the area of which we've painted. So to do that, like how we entered it, we're going to exit by pressing Q. Now as you can see, we've got a selection around the area which we've painted. But what it's done is it's highlighted the area around the outside. So as you can see, it's got the image here. the very edge of the image. Now we want what's on the inside of that image, so I'm just going to zoom in. In order to invert the selection, the shortcut for that on your keyboard is holding down Apple or Control if you're a PC, Shift, and then pressing the letter I on your keyboard. And as you can see, the selection has changed, it has inverted itself, and we now just have our trainers selected. So now we're going to make a copy of the trainers with the selection. Shortcut for that is Apple or Control if you're using a PC, and the letter J. And now you can see in my layers palette here, I've now got 2 layers. So if I now remove the background layer, which was our original layer, by clicking on the eye, we now have an okay-ish cutout of the shoes. Like I said, you guys should spend a lot longer than I have because it will just look a lot better, trust me. So we're going to put the background back. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out here. Right. The main tools we're now going to be concerning ourselves with to change the background layer can be found in Image, Adjustments, Color Balance to change the colors, Hue Saturation are the 2 sort of main ones to use. But first of all, you must check that you've got the right layer selected, which I haven't. So if you come back down to your layers palette here, because you don't want to change the color of your trainers that I have here, or your selection, you want to make sure you've got the background layer selected just by clicking on it like that. So we go back to Image, Adjustments. Now for this, I'm trying to try and do a matrixy type green effect, so we need Color Balance. Now it's just a case of playing around with these levels here, moving the options up and down to create whatever color you need. Again, if you use the highlights, you can then change the depth of the color and the shadows. You can change the depth of the color as well. Again, if you just mess around, play around, I'm sure you'll find something that looks a lot better than what I have produced here very quickly. Just hit OK. Now if you want to change the contrast of that, the easiest way to do that is with your levels, with the picture levels. So with the right layer selected, if you hit Apple or Control for a PC and L on your keyboard, it's going to bring up this menu here. And again, experimenting around with the different levels here, you can change the cut, you can change the contrast within the image. And that is how you change the background color using Adobe Photoshop CS4.